So let's get right into it. There's this fascinating movement happening that's basically asking us to choose the future of farming. And they're framing it as this epic choice between two completely different philosophies: the bullock on one side and the oil barrel on the other. And this isn't just an idea, it's a real-world event. A Yatra, which is a kind of foot march, is actually underway right now across the state of Karnataka in India. And look, their goal isn't just some minor policy change. They're demanding a complete, radical shift in how we power our agriculture. At the absolute core of this whole thing is a concept they call Basava Tattva. Now, that translates to the philosophy of the bullock. It's a vision for farming that's powered by, you guessed it, bullocks, a total move away from our modern dependence on fossil fuels. So what this really sets up is a fundamental clash of worldviews. The movement is essentially laying out two distinct paths forward. You've got the path of the bullock, and then you have the path of oil, which they call Tela Tattva. Okay, let's break down how the movement sees these two systems. On the Basava Tattva side, the main resource is the bullock, which is, of course, renewable. This means power is decentralized, right in the hands of the farmer, which they argue creates a self-reliant economy. Now, contrast that with the oil system. The resource is non-renewable, power is centralized with big oil companies, and it ultimately creates an economy of dependence. And for them, the stakes here are, well, they're incredibly high. According to their philosophy, the bullock-based system preserves everything: the soil, the water, food security, even the culture. But the oil-based system, in their view, it does the exact opposite. It leads to the destruction of all those same vital elements. It's a pretty stark choice. But, to really get what's driving this movement, you gotta look past the practical stuff. It's so deeply tied to the cultural power of one very specific symbol: the Nandi, the sacred bull. And this is where it gets really interesting. This isn't about rejecting modern times. Actually, they argue the complete opposite. Listen to this quote from their campaign. They believe that modern science actually backs them up, that it's the key to advancing civilization through these traditional methods. To really hammer this point home, they start asking some really sharp questions. They begin by pointing to the bullock's deep historical roots. First question: why is it Nandi seal from one of the oldest civilizations in the world on the very first page of India's constitution? And they don't stop there. They connect the symbol directly to the idea of governance. They ask why the single, which is this historic scepter that represents just and fair rule, is topped with the figure of the Nandi bull. For them, that's no accident. It's a powerful link between the bullock and true authority. And finally, to bring it right into people's daily lives, they make this claim that the vast majority of festivals celebrated all across the country are connected in one way or another to the Nandi. It's their way of saying this symbol isn't just ancient history. It's a living, breathing part of the culture today. Okay, so you have this really powerful cultural argument, right? But how does that actually turn into a plan? Well, they've got some very specific, concrete demands for the government. First up, and this is a big one, is money. They are calling for a full 10% of the entire state budget to be legally set aside to promote bullock-based agriculture. And not just for 1 year, but every single year for the next decade. So how do you get farmers to adopt this? A key part of their plan is putting money directly into farmers' pockets. They're proposing a monthly incentive of 11,000 rupees for every single farmer working with a pair of bullocks. That's a pretty strong reason to make the switch. So let's just recap their whole proposal. It's basically a 4-point plan. First, they want official recognition for these farmers as the foundation of the whole Basava Tattva system. Then lock in that funding, the 10% budget and the monthly incentive. And to top it off, they want a brand new Soil Rejuvenation Act to start fixing environmental damage. So what's the big picture here? What's the ultimate goal? It's really this grand vision of rebuilding the nation's entire economy and identity, literally from the village up. And their whole theory of how to get there is actually pretty straightforward. You can think of it as 3 simple steps. Step 1, invest in Nandi-based agriculture. Step 2, that investment creates self-reliant villages. And step 3, those villages then become the building blocks for a truly self-reliant nation. So in the end, this entire movement, this march, all these demands, it all really boils down to one powerful and provocative question that they're asking all of us to think about. They believe the path forward isn't just about new technology, but about tapping into the sustainable power of an ancient partnership.